Well, hey guys, Long Haul Larry, and I am out here at the ADL shop, and it is time to start tearing into this white truck. Start seeing what's going on with this truck and everything. But I just couldn't take it. I actually had to break down. I broke my back last summer, and I had left and stuff. And then this winter, I've been out here. This is my third time this winter that I've been out here. Kind of still winter. And the first time I came out here, I walked in the shop and I was just like, are you kidding me? I mean, it was just a disaster. And I was like, I will not clean this up. I will not do this. And been coming out here. Well, I'm about ready to start a big project. So I actually decided I had to clean it before I start this thing. So I'll show you guys around. Got her all fixed up in here pretty good. Well, guys, that's kind of the tire fixing area. Got that pretty much straightened up. Need to have a little bit more organization over there and stuff, but I ain't got the time to organize things. I just needed things cleaned, you know. And then I actually got my painting stuff all organized over there and got the piles and piles of stuff off the walls and everything. This place was a disaster. And hung up all the oil filter, changer, the little pliers and all the fuel filter wrenches and stuff. That was all just piled in a pile on that table. It was just horrible. But yeah. And I got everything else all cleaned up in here. It took me probably 7, almost 8 hours yesterday to clean this shop. It was just horrible. The other mechanic, he just does not clean up, and then he leaves stuff just sitting all around. He takes parts off and he just leaves them sitting there, and it's like, are we supposed to keep this? What are we doing here? But I'm going to be bringing the white truck in here, and I'm going to be tearing this whole thing down, all the motor parts, everything else. And I want a nice place that I can actually store. So I went and bought, we've had some of the wood around here from when I built the other benches and stuff. And I just went and bought a couple pieces of wood and a piece of plywood, which, wow, prices are expensive right now. And I actually built me this nice little table. Oops, I went the wrong way, sorry. Built me this nice little table here. You can see I kind of have the legs kind of at a little bit of a slope out, so that way it makes it nice and stable and everything. And it's kind of a really nice bench. It's really actually pretty stable. It doesn't shake that much at all. And here's my plan. I told the boss, he came in here and he just looked at it and he started laughing and shook his head. And I told him, I said, listen here, this thing here, they got those wheels that you can put, I keep going the wrong way on my thing here. You can put those wheels on there and then you step on them and it lowers the wheels down and raises whatever. Put those on 4 corners, and then you could take this whole thing and you could roll it over to where you're working and have a nice little bench right there where you're working. You can set parts on and everything. And then, to keep them rolling around, drop the wheels back up. I told him the way this thing's built, he'll be able to pass this down to his grandkids. So I got everything all straightened out. And so I'm going to be pulling the white truck in here. And I got the battery charger on it. See if I can get her to crank up. I'll talk more about that when I get it in here. So yeah, I swore I would not clean the shop up. It was just getting horrible. It was just so bad. The other mechanic says, I think there's the gremlins around here. Keep losing tools and stuff. Can't find stuff. And it's like, I found so many tools just laying behind things and everything else. Yeah, I am actually going to have a talk with him. He's got to start cleaning up some of his stuff here. And I said something to the boss about it. I said, this is ridiculous. And he's like, I know. He goes, I'm going to talk to him too and tell him that every once in a while he's got to do a cleaning of the shop and keep this organized like this. So this is a representation of the boss. This is his business. And just having junk piled everywhere and dirt and grime and everything, that's not a good business aspect, But yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good mechanic. He's really good on Volvos. He knows Volvo trucks really well. So he's really a benefit to have and stuff, but he's just got to get better on the cleaning situation. Well, I'm gonna go fire up that white truck and pull it on in here. Well, guys, there we go. We got her in the shop. I was able to fire it up. I had to do a lot of charging on batteries, and I had a pickup truck hook up to it with the jumper pack. But I was able to get her turned over and got her fired up. The batteries are completely junk in this thing. But we got her fired up, and I got her pulled in here, and I actually started pulling it apart. Sorry about that. I have this new handheld thing that controls the camera and stuff, and it's like a gimbal thing, and it's got a button that I can move the camera around. I can go side to side and up and down and all this stuff, and I always hit the button the wrong way. Sorry. But anyways, I got it in here, got a little bit excited, and just started ripping stuff apart. I already took the bumper off. That's no big deal. That's like 8 bolts, and the bumper comes right off, and bumper's sitting right over there, and it's actually it's pretty good shape. It's not really busted up, just one little spot right in the center where the old scanner used to be for JB Hunt. And yes, this is an old JB Hunt truck. The way that you could tell is back here on the frame, it has those ramps on the frame, so that when you go up on a trailer, it doesn't hit the fifth wheel. It actually runs up on those ramps and goes right up onto the fifth wheel. Those are always on JB Hunt trucks. And then up there, the number 372355. That is an old JB Hunt number. And plus, it also has the greaseless fifth wheel too. So it's an old JB Hunt truck. So here's the plan. It does run. It doesn't sound terrible. The guy, I couldn't really understand, and you can't trust anybody selling something. I mean, it's a $2,500 truck. And the boss, he was saying something about, oh, the guy said it was just rebuilt and all this. Okay, no. Okay, we're not going to buy anything of that. But when I looked at it, I pulled out the dipstick, and there was coolant or water or whatever in the oil. And I actually looked at the coolant tank, and it was like a clear color. And I was like, what kind of coolant are you putting in there? He's like, well, it leaks coolant, and I just add water to it. It was like probably 99% water. And it actually sat out here in this winter. And when I came out here the first time, that was all frozen. And I got it in here and let it warm all up and everything, and it finally started defrost. And I put coolant into it, and it seemed to be fine. And the next time I came out here, the coolant was at the same level. And then this time I came out here, and me and the other mechanic were looking at it. And I pulled the dipstick, and there was more water, coolant, whatever, mixed down in the oil. You could see it. It was all white and frothy. And I looked up at it, and it's dropped by 1.5 inches. So there's something leaking here. So my idea is that maybe it's the oil cooler, because there's coolant getting into the oil. There's basically 3 different options. You got the oil cooler, which is behind all this. It's up against the block. There's these gaskets, and there's the seals and the stuff in there. And that can leak coolant into your oil system. Another thing is the head. The head could be cracked. That could be leaking coolant into it. Another thing is the EGR cooler. That could be leaking too. And then the fourth and final thing is the block could be cracked. So here's my plan. It's all coming out. Everything's coming off. I am going to drop the drive line, the drive axle, or the drive line, and I'm going to pull the transmission on it, pull the hood, radiator, everything out of here, and start dismantling this engine. And before I go, what I'm going to do, before I fly back home on Monday, I am going to have this thing stripped down to just a block and a crank. And I am going to drop it off at a machine shop here locally and have them inspect it. I'm going to have them do a leak test on it, And if it passes the leak test where the block is not cracked, then I'm going to have them check the crank, the line bore, and have them remachine the top for the head and everything. And down in the cylinder liners, there's an O-ring down in there that needs to be cleaned up whenever you do a rebuild like this, and so that it seals good. And so I have them do all those things, and then basically you're going to have a brand new block, and we already have a rebuild kit for this thing. It is the same motor that is in his dad's truck, and he bought a rebuild kit for that motor, or I'm sorry, in the black truck. And he bought a rebuild kit for that one, and the block was just too far gone. The head was completely cracked and all this other stuff. So he ended up getting a different motor and throwing it in there and stuff. So he didn't need the rebuild kit. So he has a rebuild kit. And right now, with parts shortages, it's very hard to find parts. And it's going to be hard to find a rebuild kit. Well, he's already got one for this one. So that is the plan. So I need to start stripping everything down and tearing everything apart and get this motor out of here. My goal for today, probably get the transmission, the drive line out, hood, radiator, all that stuff out. Try to get most of the stuff disconnected from here. Probably will not be, no, I won't be pulling a motor here tonight. And I'll try to get most of the pieces off. I'm going to drain the oil and everything. And then what I'm going to do is, that's why I have it up on the blocks, is I'm going to drain the oil and everything, get the hood off and all this stuff, and just let it sit there and drain. And then I'm going to put it up off the ramps. I'll probably just jack it up. And then I'm going to roll it forward. And then I can get a little bit further, so I got a little bit more room in here. But I need to leave room that I can get the forklift in front of the truck to pull the motor. And then I got to build an engine stand. I got to go get some square stock metal, and I'm going to build me an engine stand, and then I'll build it right over there, have it sitting on where I could drop the block on there, bolt it on there, and then I could tear apart the whole motor right there. That little opening over there. So that's the whole plan, is to get it all torn down before I leave, drop it off, and then I'll be flying home. And when the machine shop gets back to me that everything is good, I'm going to kind of go through the truck and, we need this, we need that, and make a list and stuff. And if the block all checks out, then I'll have the boss working on getting all the other parts. And when everything shows up that it's ready to go, then I'll fly back out and start putting her all back together. So it is disassembly time. So I'm just going to get rolling. You guys have kind of seen me doing this before. Just start pulling the hood. It's not that hard, actually. It's just these rams right here. Just the bolts on the bottom. Then there's these safety cables up here. I always pull the grill. Some people take the hood and they just drop it off on like a pallet or something like that. I don't like that. It's a lot easier for me to use the forklift if I take off the grill part, and then I can put the hood down, and there's just like that much of a gap between the radiator and the hood. And I take the forks and I just slide them in with the fork extenders. I can pick the hood straight up. And then that way, when I put the hood, I can do it all by myself. And I can just put it in there, kind of line it up, and just drop it right into place. It makes it a lot easier. But then, while I'm doing everything, I'm going to fix this. The fiberglass is all, somebody must dinged into something. I'll fix this, get this all sanded down, and then I'll pull the headlights and the mirrors and everything off, and I will sand down the entire hood. And there's another spot over here, that is right here. And get that all ready and everything, fix the hood all up, and then I'll just repaint the whole hood a gloss white. And so that way it'll look all good and everything. But the major thing is the motor, so I got to get the motor out of here. So it's time to get rolling. Ooh, I'm dirty. I just saw that in the camera. I'm really dirty. I actually was pulling it out, and no problem. It was coming right out. I kept getting off, checking it, talking about checking, make sure all the wires are disconnected and everything. And then I got off and I was walking around, and my boss walked in the door, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Oh, you got it out yet?" And I looked over my camera to turn it off while I was talking to him. I never turned my camera on. So, oh well. But we're gonna finish pulling it out, and I'm just gonna set it on the floor on some blocks for right now. Bracket that's hooked on a wire harness. There we go. But there's the old girl, she's out. Now I got one more project to do before I can really tear into the motor. I need to make an engine stand. Boss doesn't have one. And probably could buy one, but I'm long haul Larry, so I'll make one quick. I have one in my house back in my shop back in Wisconsin. Pretty easy, just some square tubing, weld it, and everything else. I need the measurement for across the block. I need to know what the measurement is for length and width so I can make it, and then I'll make a base a little bit wider and longer, so and then weld some deals so it sits up off the ground about 2 feet. So that way I can get up underneath it and everything else. And when I go to reassemble it, I'll be able to put it on there and it'll actually bolt up to it. And then I'll be able to use that to torque all the bearings and all the main bearings and all that stuff. You really need a crank on those, and that way I can be able to do that. So I'm gonna get started. I gotta take some measurements, figure it out, draw it up on a piece of paper, or keep it in brain, whatever, and start cutting and welding and make a quick engine mount up. Well, there we go, guys. We got a stand built underneath it. So now it's up off the ground. I can get up underneath it. When I assemble it, disassemble it, I can just get up underneath there. And what I do at home is I have some 2x6s cut. They'll lay up underneath there, and I kind of make a platform on it so I can lay underneath it and my back isn't sitting across a metal bar and stuff. I kind of make a wooden platform around it. I don't know. Probably not going to do that here. I'll figure out something. Just put a piece of plywood over it or something. But yeah, so she's all put on here. It does have a couple bolts in it. You can see one down there in the bottom and stuff, one on the other side. It's got a couple bolts to hold it on there, but the sheer weight of it is just holding it on there. So it is time to really start getting to work now. I gotta get this all torn down, and we gotta take it in and to the machine shop and have them start going through it and see what this block has got going on. I tell you what, first thing I gotta do is clean up my mess. I got a mess going on in here. Pulling engines and tearing them apart is a messy business, and I was doing really good at keeping it clean. I really was. But when I started pulling off the pan and got the oil pump out, it just started leaking. I couldn't catch it all. And did the best I could. So I'm gonna clean up all my tools and get ready to pull this truck out. We're gonna pull this thing out and just use the forklift and just push it back. I caged the brakes, so it has no brakes, and we'll just use the forklift with a strap on it and push it out. And there's an open spot straight out from the door here. And we'll just push it out, and then we can use the forklift to do the braking and get it put back out there. And I think what I'm gonna do is just put a tarp over this and just put a tarp over the top of it and tape it all up and a bunch of bungee straps, and so it doesn't sit out in the elements and everything else. And I will have all this cleaned, get all this cleaned up and everything else, so it's all good to go. And I got a lot of wiring to fix too. There's a lot of loom it's so brittle and stuff, it just breaks apart. So I'll probably be relooming all that stuff, try to protect the wires best I can. So yeah, so now the real work starts. Kind of missing a part. What I really wished is John would be here, because I had a great video idea. I was going to put a chair in there and have him sit up inside there in a chair and go bum, 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 bum. I was going to say, yeah, I got a new motor in there. Look at that. But he's off working. He's down in Mount Crawford right now, picking up a load this morning. All right. Well, guys, I hope that everybody out there is having themselves a great day, great night as they watch this here video. And if you're not, I can certainly just try that all over again tomorrow. It's time to start working. Boss wanted this done by 2:30 today so we could take the block in. That ain't gonna happen. That is just not gonna happen. But we'll do the best we can. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.